Okay, so now you're trying to figure out what you're going to do, and you end up getting a mail job at Universal?
Yeah, so I had, like I said, try to do the school thing. And then it came to a point where I told my moms, I was just like, yo, I can't do school, ma. I just can't do it. And she was like, listen, like, if you don't do it now, just do it later, but you got to do something. Like, she told me, like, I ain't going to be going to work 8 hours a day, taking care of you and your sister. I come home, I got to cook, I got to clean, and you just not doing nothing. Like, you have to get a job. And I was like, all right. And my mom, she worked at this nonprofit organization in the neighborhood that readied young people and even older people for the workforce, right? Like, so she taught me how to conduct myself on an interview, how to speak, how to look a person in their eye, shake their hand simultaneously, all these things that matter when you're trying to get a job. So she had a lot of connections. She was like, yo, would you want to try, go for an interview for this job? And I'm like, all right. And it was with Pitney Bowes mailroom. So I went, and this is, I think, in the year 2000, like towards the end of 2000, or it might be the beginning of 2001. It was in 2000. It was in 2000. And I got the job, and it was like 3 locations. It was Universal, which I didn't know was Universal at the time, some other building, and the World Trade Center, and this was before 9/11. You know what I mean? So, like, thankfully, I didn't end up, in the World Trade Center, but I ended up at 825 8th Avenue, 50th Street and 8th Avenue, and yeah, it was the mailroom where Universal was at. I didn't even know that record labels had buildings. I just was a kid, like, you feel me?
Okay, but then you end up getting fired.
Yeah, I did get fired, but it was some time before I got fired. I was worked there for like a year before I got fired. But like me working there, I was I got cool with people that was upstairs, you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember going to I wanted to do a basketball tournament in my hood. So I had my mom's help me with a presentation. I remember going to Irv Gotti and asking him would he sponsor it. I went to Irv Gotti, like, cause I delivered mail to Murder Inc. So I went to him, I asked him would he sponsor it. He was like, how much money I gotta give you? I didn't have that part written in. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna get my mom to do it. And the thing is like, I was good at starting but not finishing. So I would start up an idea, and I was doing that, and then I was helping out Omieli McIntosh. She ran Jay-Z's fan club, Fan. And I would stay after work and like help her out with stuff. She would give me like tickets to shows or T-shirts, magazines. Them things mattered back in 2001, you feel me? Or CDs and stuff. And I ended up getting fired because I left a box with all these contracts in the freight area, and that shit got thrown out. You know what I mean? It was all these boxes from the royalty department that was supposed to go to Def Jam. Or they was coming from Def Jam and supposed to go to the royalty department. So it was probably people contracts and all types of shit. And I forgot to pick up that box, and it got thrown out. And they fired me and the guy who left the box there.
Okay. And that eventually led you to an internship at Roc-A-Fella.
Yeah. I got cool with a few people. Like I said, I was young. I was a teenager, so I was cool with a lot of people on the floors. You feel me? One person in particular, my sis, Shari Bryant, she ended up being the president over at Roc Nation later on. You know what I mean? But she was I don't think Shari was an intern. She was assistant Carlene, who Carlene was J. Damon Biggs' assistant. People probably heard the bars from Kanye. Carlene said I could buy 2 tickets. That's who he's talking about on Big Brother. And she was assisting them. And I asked Shari one day, I just called her and I was like, yo, could I come to the office? And I was like, I don't care what it is I got to do. Like, I just could I come there? Because I was working at a sneaker store after that, and the sneaker store thing didn't work out. And then, like, a lot of my friends at the time when I was a teenager, they was going to jail and death. It's just shit that happened in the hood. So for me, I just looked at it like, I got to do something with myself. You feel me? So I started going to the office, and then eventually they gave me the internship, and then that turned into an A&R, assistant A&R position.
Okay, and the internship paid $100 a week.
Yeah, I was getting paid $100 a week. It wasn't nothing.
Okay.
It wasn't nothing, but it was something. Like, I was making it work for me. I had other ways of making money, so it was like I wasn't really tripping about the $100 a week because I had means of making bread. You feel me? Like, ever since I learned how to put 4 quarters into $1 when I was a kid, I had no problem making money. So I was just doing what I had to do and just paying. They call it paying your dues, being an intern. You know what I mean? So that was just me sitting around not doing much. You feel me? Until I started figuring out things to do.
Was Dipset arriving around that time?
Dipset was already there. Like by the time I was an intern, now it's like 2002. Like it's the beginning of 2002. So it's like Dipset is already there. Cam, I think Come Home With Me probably dropped around that time. Dipset is there. State Property was already a thing. You know what I mean? So I came in around that time. Like when I became an intern, it was like Jay was working on a Blueprint 2, I think. Yeah, he was working on Blueprint 2. Because once I got the job, I started to be around a lot of them sessions. You know what I'm saying? Like being in the studio when he was working on the Blueprint 2 and Diplomats was working on Diplomatic Immunity. But it wasn't Diplomatic Immunity at the time. They just was working on just a bunch of shit.
Okay. Because at one point, Cameron offered you a job with Dipset as opposed to staying at Roc-A-Fella exclusively, right?
Yeah, he came in the office, man. Him and Jim walked in the office one day. It was crazy because I could still. What was crazy, Vlad, is that I always hold on to these memories because I remember I had a conversation with Jim one time about something. And he was like, "How the hell do you remember all this stuff?" I always kept it in my mind like I gotta remember all of this because it might never happen again. You feel me? So Jim and Kim walk into the office. They looked like they was arguing or something. And he's like, "Yo, shorty." He turned to me. He's like, "Yo, shorty, yo, how much money you get paid working at Roc-A-Fella?" I was like, $100. He's like, "Come to Diplomats, I give you 200." Right? I was like, all right. You know what I mean? I was like, all right. So then, but what happened was like, that didn't even work out at that time. Like it was, he said that and then he gave me his number. So I went back to like my block, like, yo, Cam gave me his number. I'm telling everybody, yo, Cam gave me his number. I called the phone. I'm showing off now. You know what I mean? I called the phone. He didn't answer, but he had his voice on his voicemail. So I kept like chasing after Cam to get the job and he wasn't answering me. So one day, remember I told you my mom's, she was a job developer. It was this dude from, I didn't even know that he was from Cameron Hood, but my mom's helped him when he came home from jail. So I used to chill with a lot of older dudes or whatever, and I was chilling with my man Tone. He's older than me, and this same dude, I can't remember his name, but he got in a car, and I was telling him about what I was doing, and he's like, Cam said he gonna hire you? I'm like, yeah. He said, you serious? I'm like, yeah. He called Cam. Cam answered. He like, yo, you know that kid, this kid Wayne, that I had braids at the time. He's like, he got braids? He like, yeah. He's like, you said you was gonna hire him? He's like, yeah. He like, yo, look out for him. He's like, when I came home, his mom's looked out for me. You know what I mean? So look, like, if you can, like, look out for him. So that happened, and then like maybe 2 weeks later, I was going somewhere, somebody called me like, hey, Cameron told me to reach out to you, you know what I mean, to come work for Diplomats, and it was a Friday. He's like, by Monday, we gonna tell you everything you need to do and all that. And I worked for Diplomats for like a good, like 2 months. You know?
Okay.
Yeah, like a good 2 months.
Well, I remember when I interviewed Jewels, he said that Jay-Z and Cameron always had kind of a funny relationship with each other. Like they were never really cool with each other.
Jay and Cam never really, I'm not gonna say got along, because that's like a weird word, like never got along. Like we not like kids, like, you know what I'm saying? But they had like a funny relationship, you know what I mean? With them being, they never really clicked and meshed to where it was like, it felt like we were truly Roc-A-Fella artists, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Dame always showed us that love and that, you know what I'm saying? But besides that, like, you know, we were cool, State Property. We just never felt like we were like truly welcome over there. Like we felt like the outcasts of the family.
But they kind of tolerated each other. Did you see that?
Like, keep in mind, like when all of this is happening, like even when I wasn't around, like I was interning when they made like New York City. I wasn't, or was I? I might have been working. No, I was working for Roc-A-Fella at that time. I didn't pay attention like that. For me, I'm 19 years old. I'm from 119th of Lexington. I'm around all of these people that you couldn't even imagine. So I wasn't even picking up on any tension or shit like that. For me, it was like, I do remember one time, and this was during the tenure of me trying to get the Diplomats job. I had called Cam and he told me to come to Baseline. And I came to Baseline and he was doing a photo shoot. And I remember him talking to me. He was like, man, he he just was asking me like what I wanted to do, and I was like, I didn't know what an A&R was and none of that. So he was just like, yo, what you want to do? And I was like, I don't really know. He was like, well, listen, like, he like, this Roc-A-Fella shit is cool and all that, but I'm using this to build diplomats. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm using all of this to build diplomats. But that was the only thing when he said that to me, I was like, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. But like I said, I'm not even picking up on anything like that because I'm not looking at it from that perspective. I'm just happy to be there and be working. You feel me?
Well, yeah, because by 2003, you became an A&R?
Yeah, I was assistant
Roc-A-Fella?
A&R. Well, in 2002,
Assistant
it was
A&R.
like towards the end of 2002, going into 2003. By end of 2002, I was in there. So Big Face Gary, I don't know if you ever heard of Big Face Gary, but he's one of Dame's homeboys or whatever, and he had an A&R job. And then it was the same thing. He came into the office one day, and he just seen me. He was like, yo, what you doing? I was like, nothing. He's like, yo, come with me. And I just ran around with him for a day. And then, like, I ran around with him and then ran with him the baseline, doing a couple of things. And then when we came, like, he just come pick me up. Every day I come to the office, he just would pick me, like, yo, you come with me. And then one day he just was like, yo, I'm going to get them to hire you. You know what I mean? And that's how I ended up getting the job. But yeah, it was through my man, Big Face Gary. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because around that time, I was a mixtape DJ, and I would come by Roc-A-Fella offices to get vinyl and network and everything else like that. You and I think, crossed paths.
Yeah. I seen you a few times. So Ramsey, it was 3 like junior A&Rs. Like I always tell people, like at Roc-A-Fella, it produced a lot of music executives, probably more music executives than it produced actual big artists, right? So you had at the time G. Robeson was there, my man Hip Hop, Lenny S. They were like the senior A&Rs over there, and then you had Ramsey. Ramsey was the one that was handling like everything logistically. You know what I mean? Like from all the submissions that came in for albums, going to Def Jam, handling sample clearances, and then you had Travis, my man Trav, and then it was me. You know what I mean? So it was us 3. We weren't necessarily under the other guys, but like we learned from them. They was the guys that was working there. They wouldn't be in the office too much because Lenny was on the road with Jay a lot, or in the studio with Jay a lot. And then like for myself, we was in the office, me, Travis, but then I used to stay in the studio. I don't know if you had noticed, but I had picked up Bean's mom's number one day. I just seen it and I called her. That's how I started getting into the studio. You know what I mean? I just took initiative. I seen her number just sitting around one day. I was like, man, I'm gonna call her. I just called her and I was like, yo, I feel like state property could be bigger. And she was like, me too. And I was like, and at the time, like, I ain't gonna lie, like that, to do something like that is totally crazy. You feel me? But I just took that initiative. But yeah, I remember seeing you come up and see your hair was more red. Like I feel like your hair was more red at the time. But I remember you being in Ramsey's office, because my office is right next to his, and you would be in there, he'd be playing you stuff. Because that's what he did. Ramsey, like all the DJs would come up, he'd play you what we got coming, or all the freestyles, or you might hear freestyle and be like, you need it for your tape. He'd give out the freestyles to people, all that. He'd make sure shit get clean. Like, salute to my man Ramsey. He did a lot of work for Roc-A-Fella on the logistics side.
Well, you would allegedly carry guns for some of the artists? This is live TV, man. Come on. You can't be surprised at this question right now. You cannot be surprised.
Oh my God, bro. Yeah, I was doing dumb shit like that, man. I was doing dumb shit like that. I wasn't doing it necessarily for them. I just like, remember I said when I was a teenager, I was messing up in life. So I was doing a lot of dumb things. And what's crazy was, that led me to being around some of the artists, and I was just on whatever they was on. I didn't know that, I couldn't differentiate business and the streets because I knew nothing about business, but I knew about the street because I was a kid in the street. So yeah, when certain things occurred, yes, I'm actually a bit embarrassed, but it's all good. It's my story. But I remember Big Face Gary. Big Face Gary one time, he pulled me to the side. He said, yo, listen, you better stop carrying all these guns, because if you get locked up, we not bailing you out. He's like, we not bailing you out. Like, I'm telling you, we ain't hired you to be carrying people guns and shit. We hired you so that you could be an A&R. But he's like, I'm telling you, if you don't call us, call your mother. He used to tell me all the time, don't call me. He like, I ain't calling Dame, I ain't calling Jay. Call your mother if you get caught with a gun. I'm like, all right, like whatever. Luckily enough, I didn't get caught with no guns.
Any situations happened though while you were there?
I mean, all types of shit happened, man. I mean, I was with Neef when he caught his gun charge in Tribeca Film Festival. I told that story before. We was going to see The Death of the Dynasty, and he had a gun on him, and we didn't know. Like, again, we don't know that when you get out at the red carpet, you're supposed to walk onto the red carpet. Like, we didn't know that. We get out, we go to walk on the red carpet, and just like, now that I think about it, we all was hesitant. It was me, Neef, and my homegirl Kawana. She was Big's assistant, and everybody was just hesitant, and it alerted like a guard. Like, he came over, he just started pressing Neef, like, you got a gun, like, you know what I mean? He got caught with the gun, and then the next day I got the money. They gave me the money to go bail him out. I went down to the bookings to go bail him out and everything, and then they told us to go see Jay. You know what I mean? After that, we went to go see Jay. Jay gave us a good conversation. That was the first time I really had a conversation with him. I had been around him a lot of times, but that was the first time I really had a convo with him. You know what I mean?